Commander Kim Tae-ho sat in his chair staring at the bright screen in front of him. The Earth Deep Space Communications Center was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers. It was his night shift, and usually nothing happened during these long hours. But tonight was different. A strange signal had been coming through their systems for 3 hours now. The patterns were unlike anything they had ever seen before. The frequency jumped around in ways that made no sense. Kim rubbed his eyes and took another sip of his cold coffee. "Sir, I think I found something," said Lieutenant Park Manesio from across the room. She was young and smart, one of their best codebreakers. Her fingers moved fast over her keyboard, as numbers and symbols filled her screen. "What do you have, Park?" Kim asked, walking over to look at her work. "The signal is not random. There is a pattern hidden inside. It looks like some kind of language, but not any language from Earth." Park's voice was excited, but also worried. "Sir, I think this might be from aliens." Kim felt his heart beat faster. For 50 years, humans had been listening to space for signs of other life. They had built bigger and better machines to search the stars. But they had never found anything, until now. "Keep working on it," Kim said. "I need to call Director Lee." 20 minutes later, Director Lee Hyan-woo arrived at the communications center. He was a tall man with gray hair who had spent his whole life studying space. Behind him came Dr. Shin Hai-jin, their best expert on alien life, even though she had never seen any real aliens before. "Show me what you have," Lee said. Park pressed a button and the alien signal played through the speakers. It sounded like music, mixed with static, but there was something sad about it, something desperate. "I have been working on the translation program," Park said. "The computer is learning their language patterns. In a few more minutes we might be able to understand what they are saying." The room became very quiet. Everyone stared at the screen as the computer worked. Strange symbols appeared and disappeared. Then, slowly, words in Korean began to form. The first clear sentence made everyone in the room go cold. "Help us. Please, someone help us." More words came through as the computer got better at translating. The voice was clearly not human, but the fear in it was something everyone could understand. "We are the Zilani people. Our worlds are burning. Our children are dying. The Korthok Empire came to our space with giant ships. They said we were weak and worthless. They kill us for fun." Dr. Shin put her hand over her mouth. "My God, they are asking for help," the alien voice continued. "We tried to fight them, but our weapons do nothing. Their ships are too strong. They take our people away, and we never see them again. Our leaders are dead. Our armies are gone. In 2 days, maybe less, they will destroy our home world." Kim felt sick to his stomach. These aliens, these Zilani, were facing the end of their entire species. "We send this message to anyone who can travel between stars. We know it is hopeless. No one has ever stopped the Korthok before. They have destroyed 17 different worlds, but maybe someone out there is stronger than us. Maybe someone cares about life." The signal became weaker. The alien voice was crying now. "If you can hear this, remember that we existed. Remember that we tried to be good. We never hurt anyone. We just wanted to live in peace and raise our families. Please do not let the universe forget the Zilani people." The signal cut to static. The room was completely silent. Kim looked around at his team. Park was crying. Dr. Shin was staring at the screen with her mouth open. Director Lee had his head in his hands. "How far away are they?" Lee asked quietly. Kim checked the computer readings. "The signal traveled for 18 days at light speed. They are very far from Earth. But we have the new jump gate technology," Park said. "Our fastest ships could get there in maybe 20 days. If they still have 20 days, Dr. Shin said sadly. Lee stood up and walked to the big window that looked out at the stars. "In my whole life, I dreamed of meeting aliens. I thought it would be wonderful. I never imagined our first contact would be someone begging for help while their species dies. Kim joined him at the window. What do we do, sir? Lee was quiet for a long time. Then he turned to face the room. We call the United Earth Defense Council. Every nation, every leader, needs to hear this message. We need to decide if humanity is going to help. But sir, Park said, we have never fought aliens before. We do not know how strong these Korthoks are. What if we cannot win? Lee looked at the young woman. Park, these Zilani are calling out in fear. They are about to die, and no one in the entire galaxy is helping them. If we do nothing, we will have to live with that forever. Kim nodded. And if we try to help and fail, then at least we tried, Lee said. At least we showed the universe that some species care about right and wrong. The director walked to his desk and picked up the red phone that connected directly to the Defense Council. As he dialed, he looked back at his team. Get me everything you can about these Korthok. We are going to war. The alarm bells rang across every military base on Earth. Within 6 hours of receiving the alien distress call, leaders from every major nation gathered in the emergency meeting room in Geneva. The room had been built for world wars, but no one had ever imagined using it for an alien war. Admiral Han Seok-jin looked tired as he stood before the world leaders. He had been awake for 20 hours straight, organizing Earth's military response. His uniform was wrinkled, and his coffee cup was empty, but his eyes were sharp and determined. The situation is simple, Han said, pointing to the big screen behind him. An alien species called the Zilani are being wiped out by another alien species called the Korthok. We have maybe 15 days to get there before it is too late. President Kim Young-soo of Korea raised his hand. Admiral, what do we know about the enemy? Not much, Han admitted. From what we can tell, the Korthok have been destroying civilizations for a long time. They have very advanced ships and weapons. They seem to enjoy killing weaker species. The room buzzed with worried voices. General Song Ji-yoon from the army stood up. How many ships can we send? Every ship we have, Han said firmly. Military ships, cargo ships, passenger ships, research ships. We are converting everything that can fly in space. The shipyards are working day and night. Prime Minister Johnson from Britain looked confused. But Admiral, we have never fought aliens before. Our weapons were made to fight humans. What if they do not work against alien technology? Captain Lim Soo-young, who was standing next to Han, stepped forward. Sir, our weapons might be simpler than theirs, but they are very effective. We have nuclear bombs, kinetic weapons, and experimental antimatter devices. Most importantly, we have something these Korthok have probably never seen before. What is that? Asked President Garcia from Mexico. A species that has spent 10,000 years learning how to kill efficiently, Lim said quietly. Every war in human history has taught us something about fighting. We know things about battle that peaceful aliens would never think of. Han nodded. The Korthok are used to fighting weak, peaceful species. They have never met a species like us. We invented the word genocide because we know what it looks like. We created laws about war crimes because we were too good at being cruel. The room became very quiet. Everyone understood what Han was saying. Humans were not the peaceful species that the Korthok were used to destroying. Director Lee Han from the Space Communications Center played the alien message again. The desperate voice of the Zilani filled the room. When it ended, President Kim stood up. How long to prepare the fleet? He asked. We launch in 18 hours, Han said. Every nation is contributing ships and weapons. The Americans are sending their newest battleships. The Russians are providing nuclear weapons. The Chinese are giving us their experimental laser systems. Everyone is helping. Colonel Park Jun-ho, the leader of Earth's Space Marines, walked to the front of the room. His soldiers would be the ones fighting alien enemies face to face. My Marines are ready, he said. We have studied every battle in human history. We know how to fight in space, on alien worlds, in any condition. These Korthoks think they are the strongest species in the galaxy. They are about to learn they are wrong. Han activated another screen showing Earth's orbital shipyards. Hundreds of ships floated in space around the planet. Workers in spacesuits moved like ants, installing weapons and armor on every vessel. The cargo ship New Seoul now carries kinetic bombardment weapons, Han explained. The passenger ship Tokyo Dream has been converted to carry 3,000 Marines. Even our science ships are now armed with nuclear missiles. Dr. Shin Haijin, who had been quiet until now, stood up. Admiral, what if we get there and find out we are too late? What if the Zilani are already dead? Han's face became hard. Then we make sure the Korthok pay for what they did. We make sure they never do it again to anyone else. The meeting continued for 6 more hours. Plans were made, resources were divided, and strategies were discussed. When it ended, every leader on Earth had agreed to the same thing. Humanity would go to war to save aliens they had never met. As the leaders left the room, Admiral Han stayed behind with his officers. Captain Lim looked worried. Sir, what if we are making a mistake? What if we lose? The Korthok might come to Earth next. Han walked to the window and looked up at the stars. Captain, 50 years ago, my grandfather fought in the Korean War. He told me something I never forgot. He said that sometimes you have to fight, not because you can win, but because it is the right thing to do. Colonel Park joined them at the window. The Zilani called for help. No one else in the galaxy answered. If we do not help them, who will? Exactly, Han said. Tomorrow, we jump into space to fight aliens we know nothing about, to save people we have never seen, in a war we might lose. But we go anyway, because that is what humans do. 18 hours later, the largest fleet in human history launched from Earth orbit, heading toward a distant star system where innocents were dying, and monsters needed to be stopped. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zilani star system. What they saw made everyone sick to their stomachs. Huge alien ships, each one bigger than a city, were firing bright beams down at the planet below. The beautiful, blue and green world was covered in fires and smoke. Admiral Han Seokshin stood on the bridge of his flagship watching the destruction. Through his telescope, he could see smaller alien ships chasing refugee vessels trying to escape the planet. The alien ships were shooting the fleeing families like they were hunting animals for sport. Dear God, whispered Captain Lim Soo-young, they are killing everyone. Commander Oh Min-jin was studying his computer screens. Admiral, I count 37 big enemy ships and maybe 300 smaller ones. They are all focused on destroying the planet. I do not think they have seen us yet. Han looked at the alien ships through his binoculars. They were beautiful in a terrible way. Their hulls were smooth and shiny, covered with bright energy shields. They looked like they were built to scare primitive species into giving up without a fight. All ships, listen carefully, Han said into his radio. These monsters are executing innocent families. We are going to stop them. Formation Gamma, just like we practiced. Hit them fast and hit them hard. The human fleet spread out in attack patterns that no alien military had ever seen before. The ships moved in wild, unpredictable ways. Lieutenant Kim Sora led her fighter squadron in crazy spirals and loops that should have crushed her pilots. But humans could survive forces that would kill most aliens. On the biggest Korthok ship, General Vexstar was enjoying the destruction of another weak species. His 4 eyes watched with pleasure as his ships burned the cities below. The Korthok had destroyed 17 different worlds, and it never got boring. General, we are detecting unknown ships at the edge of the system, reported his aide. Vexstar barely looked up. Another primitive species come to beg for mercy. No doubt. Send them the usual message. Tell them to surrender or be destroyed. But before his aide could send any message, the human ships opened fire. Metal rods, simple pieces of tungsten steel, shot through space faster than bullets. The Korthok had energy shields that could stop laser beams and plasma bolts, but they had never seen weapons this simple and brutal. The metal rods punched through their shields like they were made of paper. Vextar's beautiful flagship shook as human weapons tore holes in its hull. Alarms started ringing throughout the ship. His crew ran around in panic, not understanding how their advanced shields had failed. "What kind of primitive weapons are these?" Vextar screamed at his weapons. "Officer, I do not know, sir. They are just throwing metal at us, but it is moving incredibly fast. Our computers do not know how to stop it." Then a voice came over the radio in the Korthok language. The translation computers had learned it from the Zilani distress signal. "This is Admiral Hans Siokujin of the United Earth Defense Force. You are committing genocide against innocent people. Surrender immediately, or face the consequences." Vextar's mandibles clicked in what his species used for laughter. Another weak species trying to negotiate. "I am General Vextar of the mighty Korthok Empire. We do not surrender to inferior creatures. We are the masters of a tungsten rod fired from the human ship Bizen's Fury hit." Vextar's bridge had incredible speed. The general and half his command crew disappeared in an explosion of metal and fire. Captain Lim watched through her telescope as the alien command ship broke apart. "Direct hit on their bridge, Admiral. Their command structure is falling apart." The Korthok fleet had never faced an enemy like this. The human ships moved like they were alive, dodging and weaving through space in patterns that made no sense. Their weapons were crude, but devastatingly effective. Commander O Minjin was tracking the battle on his screens. "Sir, the aliens are trying to retreat. Some of their ships are breaking off from the attack on the planet." "Negative," Han said coldly. "No one who participated in genocide gets to run away. Show them what happens when you murder innocent families." The human ships pressed their attack. Nuclear missiles, developed during Earth's Cold War, exploded among the Korthok fleet. Laser systems originally built for destroying asteroids cut alien ships in half. Experimental antimatter weapons that Earth had been too afraid to test at home turned enemy vessels into clouds of glowing gas. Colonel Park Jun-ho led his Marines in boarding actions against crippled alien ships. The humans moved through the enemy vessels like ghosts, their superior adaptability allowing them to fight in alien environments that should have killed them. The aliens built their ships for intimidation, not for real fighting, Park reported over the radio. "Their corridors are too wide, their armor is too thin, and their crew areas are too fancy. These ships were made to scare peaceful species, not to fight a real war." Within 6 hours, the mighty Korthok fleet was destroyed. 30 massive ships and 300 smaller vessels were reduced to floating debris. Only a few escape pods managed to get away, carrying news of the disaster back to Korthok space. As the last alien ship exploded, Han looked down at the burning planet below. "Medical teams, get down there immediately. Let us see if we can save some of the Zilani people." The first contact between humans and aliens had been made. It was written in fire and metal, and the galaxy would never be the same. The news of the defeat at Zilani Prime spread across the Korthok Empire like wildfire. In palaces and military bases throughout their territory, Korthok leaders stared at their communication screens in disbelief. 37 of their most powerful warships had been destroyed by an unknown species. Using primitive weapons, Emperor Thakaron sat on his crystal throne in the capital city of his home world. He was enormous, even for a Korthok, with 4 red eyes and sharp teeth that could tear through metal. For 300 years, he had ruled the greatest military empire in the galaxy. No species had ever defeated his fleets in battle. "Explain to me how this happened," he growled at his military council. His voice echoed through the throne room like thunder. Fleet Admiral Corden trembled as he stepped forward. He had commanded Korthok fleets for 60 years and had never lost a single battle. Now he had to explain the impossible. My lord, these creatures call themselves humans. They come from a small world called Earth. Their ships look primitive, but their weapons are unlike anything we have seen. They use simple metal projectiles fired at incredible speeds. Our energy shields cannot stop them. Emperor Thackeron's eyes glowed with anger. Metal projectiles? You were defeated by thrown rocks. Not exactly, my lord. The metal moves faster than our fastest ships. It hits our hulls with the force of nuclear explosions, and their tactics. Corden paused, looking afraid. They fight like demons. Their ships move in patterns that should kill their crews, but somehow they survive. They show no fear, no mercy, and no interest in negotiation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, human strike teams were already deep inside Korthak territory. Special Forces Commander Yang Tejin led a small group of soldiers through the toxic atmosphere of a Korthak prison world. The air would have killed most alien species in minutes, but the humans wore simple breathing masks and kept moving. Target building is ahead, whispered Sergeant Lee Hae-won over the radio. Thermal scans show about 2,000 Zalani prisoners inside. Yang checked his weapons one more time. Remember, these Korthak guards have never fought anyone who could fight back. They are used to terrorizing helpless civilians. They have no idea what real soldiers look like. The human team moved through the prison compound like ghosts. The Korthak guards were lazy and careless. They had been told that all the strong species in the galaxy were already conquered or dead. The idea that anyone could threaten them had never entered their minds. Yang's team planted explosive charges throughout the building, while Lee's squad freed the prisoners. The Zalani people were thin and weak, but their eyes filled with hope when they saw the human soldiers. "Are you the ones who defeated the fleet at our homeworld?" asked an elderly Zalani, in broken Korthak language. "We are," Yang replied through his translator. "And we are here to free all of you." Back on the Korthak homeworld, Emperor Thackeron was receiving more bad news every hour. Intelligence Director Velmer hurried into the throne room carrying a tablet full of disturbing reports. "My lord, the humans are not just attacking our fleets. They have teams operating inside our territory. In the last 3 days, they have liberated 6 prison worlds and destroyed 4 supply depots. They move through environments that should kill them and fight with weapons we do not understand." The Emperor stood up from his throne. "What do our spies tell us about these humans?" Velmer consulted his tablet nervously. "My lord, the intelligence is ... disturbing. These humans come from a single world where they spent thousands of years fighting constant wars against their own species. They developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet. They have fought more battles and killed more of their own kind than any species we have ever encountered." "They fight their own kind?" the Emperor asked. "Yes, my lord. Their history is filled with something they call world wars, where millions of their people died. They created weapons so terrible that they had to make laws to control how they used them. They invented concepts like war crimes and genocide because they were too good at killing." Emperor Thackeron felt something he had not experienced in centuries: fear. And now they have brought this knowledge to space. More reports came in throughout the day. Human ships were appearing throughout Korthak territory, always where they were least expected. They would strike fast, free prisoners, arm resistance movements, and disappear before reinforcements could arrive. Dr. Kang Myung, a human scientist, working with the freed alien populations, sent regular reports back to Earth. The Korthak expansion was built on a simple idea, she explained in one transmission. They would arrive at a peaceful world with overwhelming force. The local species would see the massive ships and advanced weapons and surrender without fighting. The Korthak never learned how to fight a real war because they never had to. On a liberated world in the outer territories, newly freed alien species watched in amazement as human soldiers taught them to use captured Korthok weapons. Colonel Park Junho supervised the training personally. Fighting is not about having the best weapons, he told a group of former slaves. It is about knowing how to use whatever you have. The Korthok have better technology, but they do not know how to fight. We will teach you everything humans have learned about war. Within weeks, 17 star systems that had been under Korthok control for decades began to rebel. Armed with human weapons and trained in human tactics, species that had been slaves for generations suddenly became dangerous enemies. Emperor Thackerone stared out at the stars from his palace window. For the first time in his long life, he wondered if his empire would survive. Somewhere out there in the darkness, humans were hunting his people, like his people had once hunted others. The hunters had become the hunted, and the galaxy would never be the same. The final battle for the Korthok homeworld began at sunrise. Admiral Han Seokajin stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as hundreds of ships surrounded the planet below. Half of the fleet was human vessels, and the other half belonged to alien species that had been freed from Korthok slavery. The planet looked beautiful from space, with purple oceans and golden continents. It was hard to believe that such a lovely world was home to monsters who had destroyed entire civilizations. All ships report ready for final assault, Captain Lim Soo-young announced. The orbital defense platforms have been destroyed. The planet is defenseless. But before the attack could begin, a transmission came from the surface. The voice belonged to Emperor Thackerone himself, the leader of the Korthok Empire. "Human Admiral, I wish to speak with you," the alien voice said through the translation computers. "Perhaps we can reach an agreement." Han looked around his bridge at his officers. Colonel Park Junho shook his head with disgust. Commander Oh Min-jun checked his weapon systems. They were all thinking the same thing. This monster wanted to negotiate now that he was about to lose. "This is Admiral Han Seo-jin. What do you want, Emperor?" "I propose a trade," Thackerone said. "Withdraw your fleets from my territory, and I will release all the prisoners we hold on our remaining worlds." "Millions of lives, Admiral. Surely that is worth something." Han walked to the big window that looked down at the planet. He could see the lights of Korthok cities glowing like jewels across the continents. Somewhere down there, the creature who had ordered the deaths of billions of innocent people was trying to bargain for his life. "How many prisoners?" Han asked. 7 million, scattered across 12 worlds. All alive, all healthy. I give you my word, as Emperor. Captain Lim moved closer to Han. "Sir, it might be our only chance to save them. If we attack, he might order them all killed." Han was quiet for a long moment. Then he opened a channel to all the ships in the fleet, both human and alien. "Emperor Thackerone, you have made one important mistake. You think you are negotiating with a peaceful species, like the ones you have been bullying for centuries? But we are not them." Han's voice became harder. "We are the species that spent 10,000 years fighting wars against ourselves. We are the people who had to invent the words war crimes and genocide because we were too good at killing. We know exactly what you are and what you have done." The Emperor's voice came back, sounding worried now. "Admiral, surely you care about innocent lives. I am offering to save millions of people." "You are offering to return people you stole," Han replied coldly. "You are trying to trade their lives for your own. But here is what you do not understand about humans. We do not negotiate with monsters." Colonel Park stepped forward and activated the tactical display. It showed Korthok positions throughout the galaxy, all of them under attack by human-led forces. "While you have been sitting in your palace, Emperor, our teams have been freeing your prisoners. In the last 6 hours, we have liberated 4 more worlds. Your 7 million hostages are now down to about 2 million. The Emperor's voice became desperate, impossible. My forces would have reported any attacks. Your forces are dead, Han said simply. We do not take prisoners who participated in genocide. Dr. Shinhai Jin, who was monitoring communications from other human fleets, looked up from her station. Admiral Colonel Yang reports that the prison world in Sector 7 has been liberated. 800,000 prisoners freed, all guards eliminated. And the mining world in Sector 12? Han asked. Also freed, sir. Commander Lee's team used captured Korthak ships to evacuate all the slaves before destroying the facilities. Emperor Thackeron's voice came through the speakers again, but now it was filled with panic. You cannot do this. I am offering you a peaceful solution. Han smiled grimly. Emperor, you ruled an empire built on the suffering of innocent people. You destroyed entire species for entertainment. You turned civilizations into slaves. Did you offer them peaceful solutions? That was different. They were weak. We were strong. And now we are stronger than you, Han replied. The galaxy is about to learn an important lesson. Genocide has consequences. The final assault began at noon. Human ships rained metal death down on Korthok military targets, while alien vessels freed by human forces attacked from orbit. The planet's defenses, built to intimidate primitive species, crumbled within hours. 3 days later, the Korthok Empire ceased to exist. Emperor Thackeron was found dead in his palace, apparently killed by his own people, who blamed him for the disaster. Ambassador Choi Woo-jin stood before the newly formed Free Worlds Alliance in a great hall on the liberated world of New Zelani. Representatives from dozens of species filled the chamber, all of them people who had been slaves just months before. On behalf of Earth, we thank you for the invitation to join your alliance, Choi said. However, we must decline formal membership. The Zelani representative Kefler looked confused. But why? You saved us all. Surely you want to help govern the new galaxy. Choi smiled. We prefer to remain independent, but we offer our services as security consultants. No species should face extinction while humanity patrols the stars. What message should we send to others who might threaten peaceful worlds? Asked another alien representative. Choi thought of Admiral Han's words from the final battle. Tell them that when innocents call for help, Earth answers with firepower. Tell them to choose their actions carefully, because the universe is no longer safe for those who prey on the weak. Years later, when new distress signals reached Earth's communication arrays, humanity's response was always the same, immediate and overwhelming. The galaxy had learned that genocide now had consequences, and those consequences were written in human steel and fire.